Hello, this is Photography Gamer, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'll be looking at 10 more indie games I think you should play. Okay, let's have a look at the list. Number 1, The Flame in the Flood. The Flame in the Flood is a roguelike survival adventure game developed by the Molasses Flood. After a cataclysmic flood, you and your dog have to venture downriver to search for refuge. But it's not as easy as it sounds. The Flame in the Flood is a pretty challenging game at first, with death coming very easily due to inadequate clothing, or if you don't have enough food or nourishment, you'll be done for. You travel downriver, stopping off at various locations in a desperate attempt to gather enough resources to improve your gear and find enough supplies to survive the journey. Clothing can be upgraded, weapons can be crafted, and your raft too can be altered if you find enough supplies on the adventure. At first, it is a bit daunting, but with every run down the river you'll make a little bit more progression, and when you finally make it to the safe point at the end of the game, it is a real palpable sense of achievement. One other thing to note is the game has a wonderful country music soundtrack, and all in all it's a little delightful game that rewards persistent gamers. Number 2, The Final Station. The Final Station is a single-player, side-scrolling adventure game mixed with a train maintenance simulator. The game was developed by Do My Best Games, so there's been some type of apocalyptic event and strange things are happening to the locals. You'll have to explore from one outpost to another using the train to get from A to B. Once you're there, you need to unlock the gate, which means exploring the dangerous area, searching for health items, food, ammo, and dealing with deadly creatures that lay in wait. The train management side isn't as bad as it sounds, and it adds a nice little interlude to all of the exploration and combat in the train stops. Combat is handled well with a nice mix between melee and range, and it's a game that has a really thick atmosphere of a bleak apocalypse. So yeah, addictive gameplay loop, satisfying gameplay systems, and a really dark and foreboding mood. So well worth checking out. It also has a really nice DLC that adds a lot of value. That's also something I enjoyed as well. Number 3, Never Alone. Never Alone is a puzzle platform adventure game based on the traditional Inupiat tale Kunukaseuka. I probably said that wrong, my apologies. The game was developed by Upper One Games. The game sees you and your fox friend embark on a journey through the snowy tundra as you solve puzzles, survive hostile attacks, and get in touch with the spiritual aspect of the land. You and the fox must work together, and the game is possibly at its best played in couch co-op, with one of you playing as each character. With the game being based on the Inupiat tale, the game has a strong spiritual core running through it, and it also has these nice little short videos that provide some deeper insight into the native people of the region. It really is a beautiful game and a lovely experience on the whole. Not only is it beautiful, but it's also very educational, and it's a game that I would really recommend to anybody, and it's just such a delight to play. Number 4, Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is a turn-based roguelike RPG where you control a band of misfits as they embark on a deadly quest to rid the lands of the cursed horrors that lay beneath the estate. The one thing that sets this apart from other similar games is the psychological aspect. Your band of adventurers aren't only vulnerable to physical attacks, but their mental well-being is a key part of your success too. Using torches to light the way provides a respite to the stress, but soon enough one of your group will break under the pressure. And that's where all hell breaks loose. They may stop responding to your commands, get depressed, or start attacking their allies. Over time you'll get through many brave souls as they die on the battlefield, but in the estate there is always a stream of eager souls to venture into the darkness. In between runs you can send traumatized warriors to obtain therapy, whether that is from the doctors, religious buildings, or visiting a lady of the night. The action is accompanied by a wonderful voiceover that sets the scene for the desperate and macabre journey before you.
With relic and ritual, I've bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels.
Combat is also in-depth with formation, positioning, available items, and leveling up making the difference between success and failure. But be warned, Darkest Dungeon is a tough game, and it's only for durable gamers who can tolerate the epic trolling that you encounter. So it's very tough, very challenging, but it's a deeply charming game that will drive you round the twist, but in the end, it's one of the best games on this list. Number 5, Zombotron. Zombotron is a side-scrolling action platform game developed by Ant Karlov. In Zombotron, you are stuck on an alien world and left to explore in order to survive. The combat is satisfying, and as you explore, you'll find all manner of fun weapons and equipable armor pieces to help you on your way. The game encourages exploration with lots of secrets and possibilities to gain more experience and level up your character. The combat is a satisfying twin-stick affair, and on the whole, it's very fun, quirky, with explosive combat, good enemy variety, a cool sci-fi styling, and a lovely set of hand-drawn graphics. Number 6, Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden is a turn-based tactical role-playing game developed by the Bearded Ladies. The game is set in a dystopian future where humanity has retreated to a few safe havens. You play as a stalker, a mutated humanoid who ventures into the hostile zones, seeks special items, guns, mods, and completes story quests. The thing that sets this apart from other turn-based combat games is the open feel of the gameplay environments. It's not a case of go to a zone, then fight with enemies immediately. You can explore it in real time, loot buildings, or stalk groups of enemies as you set up a lovely ambush. The turn-based combat has real depth to it, and it's also worth mentioning the gun customization and armor pieces. They allow for some really unique combinations, and it's all nicely fit together in an apocalyptic scavenging style of a game. The story is pretty good, and the characters have a lot of charm. And they're quite an interesting group of people as well, even though they're like kind of like animals. You know, it's got a really nice story to it. It's also a game that does really a good job of balancing exploration, tactical combat, and a good narrative. Number 7, The Swords of Ditto, Mormo's Curse. The Swords of Ditto is an action role-playing game developed by 1Bit Beyond. You assume control of a random adventurer whose sole purpose is to overthrow the evil Mormo. The game has some roguelite elements, as when you die, you are reborn on a new cycle as a new character, but you can inherit some traits from the last character. The game world is procedural and each playthrough felt unique, but it avoids that repeated feel of similar games. The art style is like a Saturday morning cartoon. The combat is really satisfying, as are the special skills that you can unlock in each run to overthrow the evil villain. For me, the game truly excels in couch co-op, and if you're a parent looking for the ideal game to play on the couch with your young child, then this is right at the top of that list. It's colourful, it's fun, it's varied, and it's just a lovely game that's really charming and is very hard not to like. Number 8, Willy Jetman Astromonkey's Revenge. Willy Jetman Astromonkey's Revenge is an arcade platform shooter developed by Last Chicken Games. You have a trusty jetpack and a weapon to help you clean up the levels and recycle all of the space trash. The levels are varied with interesting enemies, some good boss fights, destructible environments, and timed mazes to work your way through. It manages to create a retro feel, but with modern and fluid controls, and jetpacking around the levels as you meet your objectives is really satisfying. For me, it's one of the most underrated and undermentioned indie games in recent years, and I would really recommend it because I loved it. I thought it was really charming, really entertaining, addictive, doesn't get boring, and it's just got something about it makes it very, very playable. Number 9, Project Warlock. Project Warlock is a first-person shooter developed by Buckshot Software. Project Warlock is a fast-paced shooter that rewards gamers for being constantly on the move, much like the Doom games. The art style is charming, but it's pretty tough at first. But once you get a foothold, you will start to level up your character, find better weapons, and you will need them as the enemies are unrelenting. The action has a breakneck speed and you'll be counting the bullets as you dodge in and out of cover from one colourful level to the next. Levels see you searching for keys, flipping switches in order to find the exit point, with each chapter ending with a nightmare boss fight that will drive you insane. So on the whole, it's a very fast action-packed game that's well worth your time once you get over that initial tricky nature of it. Number 10, Detention. Detention is a horror adventure game developed by Red Candle Games. The game takes place in a 2D world full of atmosphere, horrific moments, all set in Taiwan during the 1960s amidst a period of martial law. Now, gameplay wise, you could say this is more like those old PC point and click detective games, but with a gloriously dark atmosphere running through it. And it's worth pointing out Detention is not for the faint-hearted and certainly isn't child-friendly. You'll be exploring a creepy school, collecting items, reading notes, solving puzzles, and avoiding some of the most disturbed and creepy enemies that you'll ever find in a game. The atmosphere is thick with horror, and you'll be on the edge of your seat as you progress deeper into the dark and troubled narrative. For me, Detention is a wonderful example of how you can create a compelling story in a fairly basic game world, adopting the old school side-scrolling point-and-click method. It's well-paced, genuinely tense, genuinely creepy, and one of the best indie games on this list. Okay, those were my suggestions for 10 more indie games you should play. What do you think about that list? Have you played any of those games? What games would you have on this list? Put your suggestions in the comments, but for now, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like or subscribe to the channel if you care to. Thanks for watching again. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Cheers.